Alright, we got that video popping. Got that audio never stopping.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Gettin Cheezy with Van and Jeezy. I'm Van.
And I'm Jeezy.
Super special episode this week. We've got an interview in the gossip section coming up, so keep your eyes and ears peeled for that.
How does one peel their ears?
Very carefully. So let's move on to the Week 2 stuff here. Week 2 in the NFL, almost complete. Again, we're recording early Monday night, so we don't have the Monday night game. Final scores, running through real quick here. Buccaneers, 20, Panthers, 14. Cowboys, 31, Redskins, 21. Colts, 19, Titans, 17. Seahawks, 28, Steelers, 26. Bills, 28, Giants, 14. Patriots, 43, Dolphins, 0. Ass whooping. Texans, 13, Jaguars, 12. Packers, 21, Vikings, 16. Lions, 13, Chargers, 10. 49ers, 41, Bengals, 17. Ass whooping.
Yep.
Ravens, 23, Cardinals, 17. Chiefs, 28, Raiders, 10. Rams, 27, Saints, 9. Bears, 16, Broncos, 14. Falcons, 24, Eagles, 20. The game to be played tonight is Browns and Jets. So with that, the picks from last week that Jeezy and I had, we had both picked the Panthers to win over the Buccaneers in Thursday night primetime. We were wrong. We're still waiting on the outcome of the score for the Browns-Jets game. We both picked the Browns. I had the Falcons over the Eagles. Jeezy picked the Eagles, so he was wrong. We both picked the Packers to win. We both got that right. And I picked the Saints over the Rams, which I was wrong. And Jeezy picked 49ers over the Bengals, and he was right, which brings the running total to Jeezy 15-4-1, Van 13-6-1.
We got a candid quick text from Ram Jam, and you know what he said?
What did he say?
Good call on picking the Niners this week, Jeezy. Damn straight. Jimmy G, his streak of wins as the starter, it grows. The legend of Jimmy G continues to grow.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
I will not stop it until it stops it.
Ram Jam also says that Kyle Shanahan's offensive creativity was on full display. The Niners' first touchdown had the Bengals' defense completely in all caps, lost.
Are the Bengals any good?
No. Nope. All right, so I want to ask you a question.
Go. Shoot.
What is more surprising to you? The Steelers starting 0-2 or the Bills starting 2-0?
The Bills starting 2-0. I thought that the Steelers, after everything that happened there in the offseason, after all the distractions, after everything, with an aging quarterback in there, I thought there was a chance that that franchise might struggle. I did not, however, foresee the Bills coming out and snatching up 2 wins.
That's entirely reasonable. How about the Dolphins, though? They've gotten outscored 99 points to 10 in the first 2 weeks of the season. They look like they don't care. They look like they are truly tanking on purpose.
I mean, I can't speak to that for sure, but that stat line, 99 to 10, I think speaks for itself. The Dolphins might be playing to the best of their ability, but it just seems like there's nobody at the helm of that thing.
You know who's at the helm of that team?
Who?
Ryan Fitzpatrick, who we mentioned last week had thrown a touchdown to 8 different teams. After this week, he becomes the first player in NFL history to throw an interception for 8 different teams. He's thrown an interception for the Bills, Titans, Jets, Bengals, Buccaneers, Rams, Texans, and most recently, Dolphins. So Ryan Fitzpatrick, in 2 weeks, makes 2 NFL records.
It seems fair that for every team he would have thrown a touchdown, that he would have thrown an interception. That doesn't seem too crazy.
Fitz magic, man.
Let me ask you a question then.
Okay.
What did you think when you heard that the Buccaneers had pulled out a win over the Panthers?
I was so surprised, honestly. Did you watch the end of that game?
I did not see the end of that game, no.
Did you see the highlights?
Mm-mm.
It's 4th and 1 on the 2-yard line. Panthers going in. They hand the ball off Christian McCaffrey. He runs it wide. Gets stuffed. Cam Newton overthrowing everybody and everything. Could not find anything besides the dirt. And after the game, just, again, looking like a grandma I really was very surprised. And that's another big surprise too, is the Panthers starting out 0-2. Obviously, I'm in North Carolina, and um, people down here have been really anti-Cam, except for one person I know. They've been very anti-Cam for a long time.
It do bees like that. I got one other game that I thought was an upset that I want to ask your opinion on. What did you think about the Lions sneaking out that little win over the Chargers?
I'm surprised. I really am. The Chargers are a good team, and they've been a consistently good team for a long time. I was surprised by it. I was.
So I want to talk about the game between the Cardinals and the Ravens. So the Ravens pull out that win by 6. We've got two quarterbacks who, I mean, just last week I was talking about Kyler Murray finally graduating to pull-ups out of diapers after that really gross start that he had. And he has a week this week where he's already looking better than a lot of these other quarterbacks out there. Now, the Cardinals don't get the win this week. The Ravens get the win. You've got to give a lot of credit to that Ravens defense. Solid defense on that team. And Lamar Jackson is nothing to mess with either.
You really think that Kyler Murray played that well? He went 25 for 40, 349 yards, no touchdowns, no picks.
I'm not saying that he had a day to write home or anything, but with the state of the league as it is right now, as it is today, and knowing the history of them getting rid of Rosen and bringing in this new person and really taking a chance on this kid, I feel like, and I want to temper expectations, I'm not trying to cause a big headline here or anything, but I feel like there's some hope to be seen there.
He had to be the one to do anything in that game because the Cardinals ran the ball 11 times for 20 yards.
I think David Johnson got hurt, didn't he?
I'm not sure. But, I mean, we'll see. I mean, he seems to be serviceable for now. Maybe that first half of that first game was just, first game jitters. I don't know. We'll see. Because the Ravens seem to be a decent team this year, so.
Yeah, they definitely look good on both sides of the ball. If they continue to play the way they have been, I think they'll be looking at a playoff run. Not guaranteed, but they'll be looking at one. I'd be curious. I like watching Lamar Jackson play, that's for sure.
The thing about him is, and I forget who I was talking to today about, he almost makes it so that you have like a triple option threat, and the triple option is so hard to defend against, and your defensive players have to be very disciplined. You have to play your role, and that is it. He makes that so difficult to defend because it's not like Tom Brady running the option where you're like, okay, he's gonna fucking throw. Like he's not. he's either gonna throw or hand. Like he is not taking this for a run himself. There's no way.
One quote here coming from ArizonaSports.com by Dan Bickley. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals are encouraging despite Sunday's loss.
That seems like a reasonable statement.
I think that exactly summarizes what I've been thinking. That team had a chance to win that game against the Ravens, who I would esteem as a good, solid team in the NFL today. And because that's true, and because he's a rookie, and because there's so much news about him, I just wanted to bring that up. I think I'm curious. I'm going to keep watching this kid and see where he's headed.
Absolutely. So another one here, a fire broke out in a stadium this week before one of the games. And when I saw like the aerial footage of it, I was like, "Oh my god, it's the Dolphins! This is just piling on. This is truly a dumpster fire
just
here."
A straight on dumpster fire started it.
It was actually in the Colts-Titans game in Tennessee. Some pregame pyrotechnics did not go according to plan, and if you look at the video and the photos, it was actually a pretty good-sized fireball. It got shut down like pretty shortly. Some guy came out with a fire extinguisher or whatever. Pretty good scorch mark on the field, but it's one of those strange notables from this week. This week was very strange in football all around.
So there are no bigger headlines, literally no bigger headlines.
This is true, yeah.
Than the quarterbacks who got injured this week. Big Ben is out for the rest of the season, which also means that the Steelers season ends Sunday, September 15th, 2019.
I mean, you're not wrong. That team is completely... Look at their team last year, right? Big Ben, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown. Now they got no one. Yeah, they got no hope. They're done.
The other team, sorry about it, Drew Brees gets a pretty serious thumb injury. And if you watch the replay on this injury... I actually saw it happen live. I was watching it. It's kind of a ridiculously disappointing injury to take down the great Drew Brees. He like throws a pass, and in the follow through, he basically high fives a defensive man. So they go like high fives, and then Drew Brees is like, "Oh fuck, my hand."
He tore a ligament in his thumb, man. That's serious.
It is serious, but watch the replay.
6 weeks. 6 weeks he's out. 6 weeks.
On a high five.
That's right. It's dangerous, kids. Remember the dangers of high-fiving.
Look no further than Drew Brees for your PSA on the dangers of high fiving.
The Saints aren't as bad off as the Steelers are, obviously. The Saints' backup right now is Teddy Bridgewater, who is a perfectly serviceable quarterback.
Perfectly serviceable is fine, is how I would say it to you. Did you get to see him play?
Teddy?
Yeah.
Not since he was with the Vikings like 4 years ago.
You know, someone reminded me that Teddy Bridgewater was once an NFL Pro Bowler.
Yeah, he was good.
Like, what?
He was good.
4 years ago, I think? 4 or 5 years ago?
Like a Pro Bowler or an alternate?
Look, I can't say specifically. I'm coming off the cuff that somebody told me that.
I don't think this counts the Saints out as much as it counts the Steelers out. The Saints still have Alvin Kamara. Like, they'll be fine.
They've got the tools to be offensively explosive. And look, I watched the end of that Saints game, and something weird happened where Teddy Bridgewater comes out. He's playing halfway decent, and it's like none of his teammates believe in him. He was hitting his teammates in the hands, and they were dropping the ball. It was booty. Now, the other thing I'll say about that game is that Teddy Bridgewater looked like he was getting reused to the speed of the game. Like, he looked perfectly fine, but he seemed like he was playing like just one level slower than the game was. Like, otherwise, I thought he looked good. I think he'll get reused to that, and he'll be perfectly fine. I think if he can win some games in there, Drew Brees can come out, and that team can beat... That team, I think, with Drew Brees healthy, could beat just about anybody in the league.
I don't know the last time Teddy Bridgewater had meaningful game time, though. So, but I think you're right. I think he'll get back up to speed, and he'll be fine. Can we also talk about how the Saints got fucked again by the refs? They had a like a fumble return 6 called back by the refs. And you saw that in real time, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Jared Goff, that was a total, like, it got knocked out of his hand when it was behind. He hadn't started the throwing motion yet. That was completely a fumble. They called it an incomplete pass. Even so, fine. Give the Saints that touchdown. They still lose 27-16 or whatever it would have been.
Yeah, I mean, the problem was that the Saints are not known for their defense, and they need to step up in a big way because they cannot expect the same level of production out of Teddy Bridgewater. It's just not going to be the same. Even if Teddy's playing at his best, he needs that defense to step up. That's going to be what decides the future of that team.
Yeah, yep, I agree. Can you cheese it on in for us?
And I'm cheesing my way back to you, Van, with a burning cheese inside. It's the Packers section.
Packers beat the Vikings 21-16. I made some notes here during the game, and I just want to call out a couple of notables here. I wrote Cousins 84 mil LOL IRL.
I think of your other notes to go literally hand in hand with that. Cook is Vikings' only threat.
I also wrote, and this was in a fit of rage, I wrote, Jimmy G can't fucking block.
Oh my God, I saw that play. I know exactly the play you're talking about.
Made me so angry. I was fucking so mad.
I told you, we really need to incorporate Mercedes Lewis into more passing downs. He should be on the field.
I said the same thing.
Great hands, great blocker.
Also, I noticed that Devontae Adams was open every fucking single play. Especially the first half, open every play.
We talked about this, but Devontae Adams, he has been specifically working on the release packages. Those steps from the line, those things. And also, I saw something highlighted that I never really noticed. Devontae Adams really has a way, not only after a strong release off the line, but he also has a way of really getting defensive players kind of tangled up, making them turn around to chase him because the way that they're running is not conducive to the route he's running. Very impressive. Very impressed with him so far. So
my summary, I was very pleased with the aggressive play calling to start the game in that first quarter. Pretty happy with the balanced calling between run and pass. I think we missed that a lot in the first game, was the balance of the run and pass. We ended up with 144 rushing yards. I was pleased with that. I also thought our defense looked solid. We started playing really tired late, which got me. The Smiths, Preston and Zadarius, still a great investment.
They looked both very good. I thought Adrian Amos also looked like a very good investment.
Darnell Savage still looks like a great draft pick, too.
But what about Rashawn Gary? Where is that guy?
Exactly. I specifically looked for him during the game, and I saw him like twice.
Yes.
And like crickets.
I saw him one time on the field. I didn't want to say it, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. It looked like we got a little bit of favorable hometown refereeing.
You think so?
Yeah, I thought we did.
I don't think so.
I mean, did you see how many big time... I mean, we got offensive pass interference, called that touchdown back against the Vikings.
I actually made a note on this too. I don't think I've ever seen offensive pass interference called so many times in my entire life in one game. That was insane. That was insane on both sides of the ball, and actually across the league. Across the league, it seemed to me that the refs were under the impression of like, if I'm questioning penalty at all, I'm just going to throw the flag and we can pick it up later, because they picked up at least 2 flags in our game.
Let me just point out one thing. You know how many rushes Aaron Jones had this week?
He had 23.
It is good to see him getting the ball a lot more. I'm not sure what's going on, though. He doesn't seem... I don't know. There's been a lot of... Like, he'll either rush, it seems like, for 10 or for 0.
And I made a note that Jamal Williams actually looked more consistent to me than Aaron Jones did.
If it's a have-to-have yards down, if it's a 3rd and 3, I think Jamal Williams has my vote for the play call.
In that last game, yeah, I have, yeah.
The thing is that Aaron Jones still holds all of those early down, 1st and 2nd down potential, because he broke away for a lot of 6, 7, 8, 9-yard runs. But he also had a good clump of basically nothing runs.
In the first half, we averaged 8 yards gained on 1st down.
I've got to say, the first drive in particular looked wonderfully orchestrated.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything was exactly on beat, exactly on pace. Despite the fact that we nearly blew a 21-point lead, this was still, I think, an excellent example as to why Green Bay is going to have a top 10 defense. They had to hold that lead for 3.5 quarters. I think we play a solid game of defense all the way through. It's very easy to give in, to not do your best when you have a big lead. But Green Bay remained stingy.
And the Vikings offense is way better than the Bears offense.
Oh, yeah. Way better.
I think LaFleur got more comfortable in his second NFL game, because I also noticed, and I made a note here, there was a time that the Vikings punted and pinned us on our 1-yard line, and LaFleur threw the ball. And we got like a 13-yard pickup, and I made a note that said McCarthy would have run the ball there.
He was quoted on this. I don't have the exact quote, but he said, week 1, we came out thinking too much.
I heard that too.
Just thinking way too much. And you could tell no one looked comfortable. The plays weren't happening organically. This week, we saw a lot more loose play. Honestly, I think if you withhold a couple penalties here, I think the Packers get some rushing touchdowns. Some drives that go end zone to end zone with the majority of the yards on the ground. We had a little bit of struggles with 3rd down conversions.
We were like 5 for 15 or 5 for 12 or something like that. It was not great.
And in the second half, we really struggled, even on 3rd downs where we had shorter yardage. We didn't always convert those. So we had a tough time in the second half.
Our 3rd down yards to go were significantly less than in the Bears game. We had much more manageable 3rd downs throughout the entire game.
Yeah, and I mean, that leads to future positives. But this week, we just could not convert. And the second half just continuously looked that way.
Don't forget, too, that we had a drive that was about to be a scoring drive. Geronimo Allison fumbles on like 10-yard line.
Yeah.
But another thing I think, too, that this team is going to have to learn as we keep going is how to deal with that in-game adversity when adjustments are start being made by the other team, which is what I think we saw happen out of the Vikings. The Vikings defense started making adjustments to the Packers offense, and our offense didn't 100% seem ready to, reciprocate that change.
Look, Matt LaFleur is only a couple years older than Aaron Rodgers. I think if it's going to succeed, Matt LaFleur needs to very clearly state his philosophy, get his system implanted, but I think it's got to be a collaborative situation.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is not looking for coach mentorship. I think that if those two collaborate,
Stop, collaborate, and listen.
If they just stop, collaborate, and listen, we're going to have a quarterback who's never missing. Rushing will also be good.
Now, LaFleur did say he doesn't view it as being Aaron Rodgers' boss. He views it as a partnership.
I did hear that.
So that's promising. I was pretty happy with the defensive effort, especially during this week. If you would have asked me if we would have started 2-0 to start the year, if you would have asked me that just before the season, I would have said 1-1 probably. That's two solid wins against division rivals. That's going to help a lot come December.
I tend to think if we get to 9 wins, we're gonna at least get a wild card. At least that might be good enough to win the division, but I think that's probably definitely enough to get that wild card spot. And we've already got 2 of those wins.
I saw that this is the first year we started 2-0 since 2015. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, does it?
No, I guess not. But 2015 was also the last time Teddy Bridgewater was in the Pro Bowl.
Uh, well, yep. Like I say, good defensive effort. I think we still have a lot of growing to do on offense and defense too. But still trying to keep in perspective that this is Matt LaFleur's second game coaching as a head coach with a brand new system, a lot of young players. But I'm pleased with what I saw and the progress that was made because you look at the offense from week 1 to week 2, leaps and bounds better.
And they gave Aaron, I don't know if you saw it, but they gave him the cheat sheet on his wrist.
I did see that. Yeah, that was interesting.
The chatter I've heard around that is that that's primarily really important for third down play calling.
Yep, I heard that too.
They've done a nice job about having some decisions pre-made for follow-up calls. Like they did that third down and they went for it immediately on fourth down, had the play already called.
Yeah.
I like the idea of that, although it didn't work this time. I like the idea of being well prepared well in advance for the plays and understanding the situation. I think from what I've seen, Matt LaFleur has a good football IQ. We need to transition that theory into successful practice.
One small last article here for the Packers section. I saw that Des Bryant reportedly wants to play for the Packers when he is ready to return to the league from an Achilles injury mid-October this year. His top landing spots being Green Bay, New Orleans, Baltimore, and Carolina. Jeezy, what do you think about that? What do you think that Des Bryant would bring, and would you welcome him in Green Bay?
I would welcome him in Green Bay, but I think for sure, I read into this a little bit. His number one call is still the Saints. They're the people who picked him up, called him when before he got hurt. That's where he got hurt during practice. He's being honorable. He's going to try and get a shot with them first. As his next option, I like the idea of Des Bryant there. He brings proper number 2 to Davante Adams, and I think because he's a proper number 2, it only gives Davante Adams more incentive to be even better.
I was going to say the same exact thing.
Des Bryant, the last time we saw him play, was good enough to be a number 1 in a lot of places. And arguably, I haven't seen how he looks after this, but he would definitely compete with Davante Adams for that. Now,
No.
I mean, I'm not saying he would take it. I'm not saying he's better than Davante Adams. I never did that say. I said he would compete with him for it.
I don't think it's a competition.
What do you mean you don't think it's a competition?
I don't think it's a competition. I think
this is professional sports. That's what this is. It is a competition.
Okay. Well, I don't think it's a competition that Adams would be the clear number 1.
Adams would be the clear number 1. But this is a person who can put a lot of pressure on that number 1 to maintain that throne. Geronimo Allison, excellent receiver, big guy, good hands, very quick. I think he's clearly number 2 right now, probably followed by MVS.
Yep.
But, I mean, you say Davante Adams, Geronimo Allison, MVS, that doesn't strike fear the same way as saying, oh, we've got Davante Adams, we got Des Bryant on the other side, and then Geronimo Allison.
I mean, yeah.
Because it starts to sound like we've got 2 proper number 1s on one team.
My only reservation with Des Bryant would be the outspokenness. Because Davante Adams is very not outspoken. Davante Adams is very humble and just knows to the grindstone, get your job done. And Des Bryant gets upset if you don't throw him the ball enough.
Des Bryant is a passionate player. He can bring some nonsense, but I don't find him to be the same as some of these other players.
Okay.
He's just not the same level of shithead.
He's passionate shithead versus just shithead.
I mean, he's just a really passionate player. He wants to be involved. He wants to help determine the outcome of the game. I'll say that sometimes he does that to a fault, but overall, I think he's an excellent player, and I'm not seeing anything that gives me big reservations about Des Bryant on the Packers.
What do you think the price tag would be? I think the price tag would be a little high too.
I don't know what the price tag would be, but here's what I'll say. Against him, he has a season-ending injury and his age.
Yeah, absolutely. If we did it, I could see doing like a 1 year like prove it deal, 7 mil.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he could get a deal not as big, but something similar to what Antonio Brown just got.
Yep. Yep. So that's the Packer section. So
It's time for the gossip section.
so as I mentioned at the very beginning of the episode, we have a special interview here coming up with Brennan, my quarterback from high school.
Who is a legendary Midwest quarterback?
It's been a while since I've seen my quarterback, and finally, we have Brennan on the show. Brennan, thank you for calling in with us. Super stoked to have you.
I'm super excited to be on this with you guys. This is awesome. I've never done anything like this.
This is really a hashtag life goal for me right now.
Oh, God.
To have a quarterback on the show is really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so I'm super jacked.
I'm super jacked that I'm a big part of this for you.
I mean, honestly, I have to say, Brennan has been one of our biggest supporters from the beginning. Always comments relevant things, shares our stuff. Brennan, I went back, I looked at your Facebook today, and like 95% of your posts in the past year are all our stuff you've shared.
Yeah, I don't post much, but when I see you're posting something, I'm sharing it.
And Brennan took some of our business cards, handed them out at work. We love having you on the show. It's great. I miss my quarterback.
God bless America.
So, Brennan.
God bless America.
Brennan, real quick, for all three of the people that listen to the show, give them a quick background on, like, your football experience, like your football life.
Well, I played quarterback at St. Cat's in high school with Van.
Yeah.
Had some great times that obviously we're still friends. Then went on to play in college at two schools. Went to University of Toledo, played there, and then transferred to Luther College in Iowa and played there. Did a bunch of different offensive schemes, power run and actually spread option. So that was probably my favorite.
So basically what he's saying is he's a fucking big shot.
Damn.
No.
I mean, I knew you were a Racine big shot, but you've been calling shots all over the Midwest.
Honestly, I remember when we graduated and Brennan's like, I'm gonna play quarterback at Toledo. I was like, damn, that's like a program, man. That's like...
Oh God, you're hyping me up too much.
So I saw this article and I specifically thought I gotta get my quarterback on this.
Don't be embarrassed by this.
No, it's fine. And so I lured Brennan in with the statement that the only thing he has to think about is this article has to do with the on-the-field relationship between the center and the quarterback.
This is an intimate dive into that very topic.
Super special relationship.
I really just want to get your raw reaction on this article. The title of the article is Patriots quarterback Tom Brady reveals how to deal with swamp ass.
Okay, yep. Yeah, well, every center's got a little bit different type of sweat. Like some sweat way more than others. And it can affect your hands. That's funny. There's really an article about swamp ass.
This is Tom Brady. This is
one of the GOATs.
I mean, this is what I would consider a deep scholarly dive into this topic, at least as scholarly as it gets.
This is the quality content. This is the highbrow content that the Cheezy podcast aims to bring you on a weekly basis.
There is something to be said about this, though. I mean, it's the little intricacies of the relationship between quarterback and center. I mean, one of the little things you got to worry about. And every center is a little bit different.
I totally believe it. And here's a quote from the article from Dan Connolly, who was one of the centers that Tom Brady played with. He says, "It was the most uncomfortable thing, but he was so crazy about not getting his hands wet that he would stuff shit down our pants."
I never would have thought to do that. I would have probably just joked about it with, like, you or any center. But yeah, keeping your hands dry as quarterback, especially if you're right-handed. Your right hand that's the one that you're using for getting right up in there, right in the butt.
I know your right hand, Brennan. I do.
Oh my
You
gosh.
definitely know. You know my middle knuckle, that's for sure.
Let me read a quote here, direct from the article. It's important to have a dry ball when snapping, and that isn't always the case if a center is having a bad case of swamp ass.
Brennan, did I ever have issues with swamp ass?
No. There's only one center that I ever was like, Jesus, this is this is excessive. But and that was a backup center in college. But even when we would be worried about the ball getting wet in both of our hands, right? So you would have a towel on your back, and I would also have a towel on my front left leg. And throughout the game, we'd switch them out. I mean, you're just constantly wiping. And sometimes you just, the ball does get wet from it, obviously. It's a sweaty game. But, yeah, no, there's never an issue with you. That's for sure.
Oh, well, that's great. I do like that.
Let me talk just for a moment about the absurdity of one of Tom Brady's centers. Quote from David Andrews. I have actually tried to train my body not to sweat. So I would sit in the sauna and just try not to sweat. It did not work.
That was such a terrible plan. I mean, how much time did he waste on this experiment?
I don't know. I hope he brought water and didn't die of just dehydration.
Here's another one. This one is from Damian Woody, another center that Brady played with. He says, what can you do? I mean, you're playing in Miami when it's 90 degrees and the humidity is 100%. As a center, I'm like, hell, my job is hard enough. I got to snap the ball. I've got a 300-plus pound man on top of me. You're just going to have to deal with the swamp ass.
Yeah, I would say that's the most realistic thought. Even if it's 60 degrees, it's like a perfect day. Nice breeze. You're not sweating overly too much. I mean, you're going to get swamp ass. It's prime sweat location. So it's unrealistic to be like, well, I don't want my hand to get wet. I mean, it's going to happen.
Can I ask a question here? You talked about you had one center that this was a potential issue. Have you in your career ever discussed this wrinkle of the game of football with any of your teammates or even specifically with the center?
I know in high school we cared a lot about keeping our hands dry. Vandy, you were great. You cared so much about that towel on your back.
Yeah.
I loved it. It's little things like that go a long way. I mean, people don't understand. Those are little special things to that already special relationship between your center and quarterback. I think I did tease the guy in college about it because it almost would be like if I went under center and when he snaps the ball fast, it's almost like it would be splashback.
Oh my gosh.
Like, what? It's way too much, man. It's like you got out the pool. Like, literally right before the snap. I mean, it's part of the relationship. You're already close. What's a little sweat?
You know what? And Brandon, I have to say, you were my favorite quarterback to snap for because he had a nice, gentle, hand placement. Like I remember, no, for real. I remember one time, I think we were freshmen, and whoever the center was on varsity got hurt or something like that, and I had to go snap during practice for Custer's, and that dude shoved his hand up your ass so far. I was almost falling over the ball. I was trying to be in my stance, almost falling forward over the ball. I could have had offsides on myself because my head was over the ball.
That is not how you want to start the play. You're not going to block good after that. You're not going to get a good jump on where you're going or who you're going to block. It's just not a good situation. I actually heard that same complaint, I remember, from Billy Jacoby.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was just lifting the center up.
He really was, dude. It was so uncomfortable.
I mean, I remember every once in a while you have your conversation with your center like, hey, is there any way you could pick your ass up a little bit or drop it down a little bit? Because you're both trying to configure yourself to be comfortable, but also get out of your stationary position fast and on time with the rest of the play. I know if you were, say, dropping your ass too low or something, just give you a tap or a little push up.
Dude,
I'll bring it up in the huddle.
Like a light spanking.
No, I do remember that too. I remember you and I had those
light
real-time
spankings.
adjustments. I remember. Well, okay, not spankings, but I do remember that we had those adjustments to be made. There were times where my ass was dropping too low. I remember that.
I mean, otherwise, the quarterback's too low. You're not seeing the field right. It's hard for you to project what you're calling out on the field. I mean, that just goes. It's another little intricacy to the relationship, and it's just one of the million adjustments you make in game time, and you work on it all off season and whatnot, and all in season in practice. But little things like swamp ass, dropping the ass too low, keeping it too high. I mean, it's crazy, but those things they carry a lot of weight to the success of a play.
And you know what else I was thinking about today? I remember you had told me that I was always good at getting the laces in your hands.
Yep.
I don't even know how. Is there a science to that?
I remember freshman year, you and I, Van, we would work on it after practice. This was all before we played
absolutely.
With our first game against Pius, I think.
Yep,
and
it was.
I mean, that's just cool. All you were doing was handing a football to me between your legs, but it went a long way. From before our first high school game to our last high school game. When you snapped me the ball, that's how it was. It was I got the laces.
One more piece of advice. Tom Brady deals with an issue he despises, and several of his centers have: swamp ass. Quote, by pulling your shorts back, dumping baby powder down your butt.
Okay. I've actually heard of people doing that with like Gold Bond and whatnot down their back of their pants, maybe chafing type stuff, and I suppose it would help with swamp ass. I never go to Vandy oh my God, dude, you're sweating a lot today, and then just pull your pants and pour some baby powder down it.
You just show up
forward.
You show up with the Johnsons and Johnson's little white powder.
Little white bottle. Just doesn't even tell me. Just sneak attack, boop.
I mean, you could be calling the pre-snap baby powder 42. Couple puffs. Yeah. Before the snap.
Imagine doing that in our black St. Cat's pants. You'd have all kind of white powder down the back of your butt. Oh.
You would end up with handprints all over your ass.
Yes. I would put it on my hands and spank you. That's my center.
That's right. Oh, good. I'm glad we could get your candid input on this topic. That was good.
Glad I could be a part of it. This is fun. This is freaking awesome, man.
Yeah.
I am down to always chime in if you guys are looking for a guest star.
Yeah, bring the quarterback back.
We will. We'll bring the quarterback back. We're so glad we could have you, Brennan. I missed you, and we'll get you again on the show.
This is fun. Thanks for having me, guys. I'd love talking football.
Real quick before you go, what's your team?
Well, growing up, I was a huge Manning fan. It was Colts, and then it was Broncos. Now he's done. So now I think I'm in search of my new favorite quarterback and who I'm going to root for. But I've always loved the Packers, and I love the Cowboys. So other than that, I typically root for players. So
if you're looking for a new player, a quarterback player, how do you feel about Mahomes? Briefly, how do you feel about Mahomes?
I really like him. Man, he's fun to watch. He's got one hell of an arm.
Yes.
It seems like he can just read the field so easily. He makes it look easy. Other quarterbacks, they seem like they're trying so hard, and it's just not working. And him, he's so fluid with it.
Yeah, very natural athlete.
No stress. Yeah. And he lost his number one wide receiver, and it's like next guy up, and then performs just as well as him. So I think that says a lot about Mahomes.
Well, Brennan, like I say, it was awesome having you on the show. We'll let you go here, and we'll have you back on again soon.
Awesome, guys. Great experience. Love it.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Like I said, this is just cool. I listen to you guys whenever I go on a long drive. I put you guys on, so it's just fun to listen to you guys. It's fun to hear Van's voice.
Nice. Yeah,
it's weird, but I mean it's true. So.
Yeah.
Look, I like listening to Van's voice. Do it every week for a couple hours.
Let you guys get back to it. Keep doing your thing. Thanks again for having me. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. And now it is time to move on to the PrimeTime picks this week.
All right, Jeezy. Thursday night, we got the Titans playing the Jaguars. Who you got?
I'm going to take the Titans.
I am also going to take the Titans.
The Titans look good on both sides of the ball. I think they're going to be a shoe-in. The Jaguars, I'm not even sure what's going on with their offense right now.
Yeah, it's rough. It's really rough. Sunday night game, Rams and Browns. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the benefit of seeing how the Browns are playing on Monday night because we're recording early Monday this week. So, Rams Browns, what do you think?
I'm going to have to take the Rams. I mean, they're the defending Super Bowl losers. I've got to pick them. They could make it that far.
I wish you'd quit copying all my picks.
Just because my picks are right doesn't mean I'm copying it. Now, let's look at Monday night. I think this is a game that could be telling. We've got the Bears facing off against the Redskins. Who you got?
Monday night at Washington, Bears didn't look that great against the Broncos. I'm going to say Redskins. I'm going to take Redskins.
You know what? I'm going to go against my wishes. I'm going to take the Bears on this. I think that Bears defense will be as stingy as they need to be to sneak out that win.
All right, here we go. Our home team, Packers Broncos. Who you got? I got Packers, obviously.
Yeah, I think the Packers are going to beat the Broncos. Broncos aren't looking too strong, although Joe Flacco looks like he's going to be okay over there. But they're not looking strong enough to beat the Packers. The Packers' D is going to continue to be stingy, and that offense is just going to continue to get better.
So with that, Jeezy, I have a pick I'd like for you to make. The winner of the 2-0 Ravens versus the 2-0 Chiefs.
Wow. I think that regardless of what ends up being the game of the week, in my eyes, that is the game of the week. It's a big AFC matchup. The Ravens come out with a super solid quarterback in Lamar Jackson. The Chiefs, obviously, Patrick Mahomes, an unbelievable talent there. I'm struggling here. Ravens, I think, have the better D, but is it going to be enough? I'm taking Kansas City. It's in Kansas City, and that's what swayed my vote here.
Bold prediction, Jeezy.
I'm taking the Chiefs.
I'm interested to see the matchup of Lamar Jackson against Patrick Mahomes. Those are two young quarterbacks that are very good.
I've got my Week 3 game for you, Van.
Go ahead.
And I'm asking this because they're two teams that I think are going to defy the odds and make the playoffs. I don't want to be quoted on that, but I'm talking about the 1 o'clock Falcons versus Colts game.
The hard part is I don't know enough about either of these teams. They are both 1-1. The game is in Indy.
So the Falcons, you got to remember, they first get crushed by the Vikings, where the Vikings only have to throw 10 passes. Get crushed, and then they come out somehow and beat out Philly. Philly looked great week 1, and somehow Atlanta is able to come out and beat them up.
I'm going to go with my gut when you first said it, and I'm going to take the Colts.
Now, the Colts is a question mark for me. They have that new quarterback, what's his name, Brissett maybe?
Jacoby Brissett.
He seems to be playing fine. The Colts have gotten a win. Who did they play?
They played the Titans.
So they beat the Titans, yeah. The Colts were a Super Bowl-bound team before Andrew Luck retired.
Calm down. Super Bowl bound, calm yourself.
Look, the Colts were an AFC contender. Can we at least agree on that?
Yes, we can, yes.
The Colts were an AFC contender before Andrew Luck retired. They're forced to start this new kid, and he looks okay. I'm curious to see how that one goes. Those are two teams that have stuff to prove.
I agree. I'm good with all that.
And with that, you've been listening to Gettin Cheezy with Van and Jeezy.
I'm Van.
And I'm Jeezy.
As always, be sure to check us out on Facebook, SoundCloud, YouTube, Twitter, Google Play Music, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, cheesypodcast.com, or you can call text 980-2-CHEESY, that's Cheesy with a Z, 980-224-3399. I made sure to leave my cheat sheet in my pocket this time.
There you go, player. Nice work. You all pro. You're going to the Pro Bowl for Van and Jeezy recording. Only one person didn't make the Pro Bowl.
Wait, actual Pro Bowl or Pro Bowl alternate?
Considering only one person gets to go out of the Van and Jeezy podcast to the Van and Jeezy Pro Bowl.
Still alternate.
You know what else I was thinking about? I had made this joke in my head earlier and never got to say it. But the Ben Worthless burger is now worthless.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Okay, love you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.